So here's the story. Elon Musk, the billionaire genius, is out there making babies like their Tesla Model 3's on an assembly line. Another kid with another woman. This is reportedly his 13th kid with the fourth woman, although there is speculation there are others, namely with Amber Heard. And since it took the latest woman, Ashley St. Clair, 5 months to come out with this news, there's a chance there are other women with Elon's babies who haven't been outed yet, especially since he's made every kid he has with IVF, except maybe this latest one and little X, the one he's always seen with. Those are the only two who haven't been confirmed to be the result of IVF. Now, why does this matter? Because Musk has been warning about a population crisis and has been using this as a reason to keep making babies with various women, some of them at the exact same time. Some of them with women he has no romantic relationship with and no intention of forming a nuclear family with. But here's the real crisis: fatherlessness. The absolute devastation of families when dads are not around. What's worse, people are actually defending it. They're saying it's fine because Musk has money and he can support not only these 13, but many, many more, as if cash can replace the presence of a father, as if growing up without a dad doesn't have lifelong consequences. People are not just turning a blind eye and saying, well, it's really none of our business, it's his personal life. They're actually championing Musk and this behavior. And here's the real kicker: the blame for fatherless children keeps being placed on the mothers. Society scolds them for raising kids without fathers as if they forced the men to abandon their children. But that's simply not true. It's the fathers who choose to leave. It's the fathers who decide not to be present, active, and responsible parents. Yet women are the ones left holding the bag, trying to pick up the pieces. Who knows exactly what happens when fathers abandon their kids? The Black community. Decades of fatherlessness has led to skyrocketing crime rates, failing schools, an entire generation of kids growing up without discipline or direction. And somehow we're still pretending like dads don't matter. The numbers don't lie. Kids who grow up without fathers are more likely to drop out of school. They're more likely to end up in jail. They're more likely to struggle with mental health issues, addiction, and poverty. But what does our society do? We act like fathers are just a nice bonus instead of a necessity. Meanwhile, we're watching an entire civilization collapse because we refuse to state the obvious. Kids need their dads. And let's be honest, a father's role isn't just about bringing home a paycheck. A good father instills self-worth. He teaches his kids how to be strong, how to be responsible, how to navigate the world with confidence. A father is a role model, a protector, and when he's absent, society pays the price. Now, here's the part that's really insane. The same conservatives who used to defend family values, the nuclear family, the importance of strong fathers, are suddenly celebrating this dystopian idea that wealthy men should just spread their seed because we need more babies and they can afford them. Really? That's the new argument? That as long as these kids have trust funds, they'll be fine? No mention of their emotional well-being, no mention of the fact they'll grow up feeling abandoned, just pump out the babies and hope the money makes up for the lack of a dad? But wait, aren't those the same conservatives who criticize Black athletes and rappers for doing exactly the same thing? When an NBA player or famous rapper has multiple kids with multiple women, it's irresponsible, it's degenerate, it's ruining the family unit. But when Musk does it, it's some noble crusade to save the human race. And it's okay because he's working for the government. He's doing so many amazing things. He doesn't have time. That's okay. He's saving the world. His kids will understand. And they say, but we always see him with that one kid, 1 out of 13, guys. 1 out of 13. You've never seen the faces of the other ones, and you never will. What happened to the 6 kids he had with his first wife? Have you ever seen them? One of them's now a girl after being a guy, maybe because his dad wasn't around. That's what they're claiming, that his dad was never around. What about the other 2 siblings that little X has? You never see those kids. The hypocrisy is astounding. And another thing, people love to call these women gold diggers. They mock them, they ridicule them, they accuse them of trapping men for money. But in the same breath, they accuse Elon Musk's behavior because they excuse Elon Musk's behavior because he can afford it. So do these people even hear themselves? If society treats fatherhood as nothing more than financial support, then of course women will start prioritizing the paycheck. If fathers are no longer expected to be involved, to love, to guide, to raise their children, then the only thing left is to secure financial stability. That mindset doesn't prevent gold digging, it actually encourages it. And let's take it even further. Conservatives have been screaming for years about the dangers of the woke trans agenda, about how the liberal left is trying to destroy the nuclear family and marches towards Marxism. But here's the problem. If you're worried about the destruction of the family, how can you possibly defend what Musk is doing? Think about it. The woke left wants to erase gender, devalue marriage, and make the state the primary caretaker of children. And now conservatives are advocating for a world where men just pump out babies with no regard for fatherhood. That's even worse. That's not just playing into the destruction of the family, it's accelerating it. What happens if we keep going down this road? If fatherhood becomes optional, a quaint relic of the past, more broken families, more crime, more aimless, lost kids, searching for guidance and finding it in all the wrong places. A society without fathers is a society that will not last. We can pretend all we want, but the data is clear. Fatherlessness is a catastrophe, one much, much worse and much, much more destructive than the woke trans agenda for social demise. Because my hope is when you send your kid to school and some teacher is in there indoctrinating your kid with the woke trans agenda, my hope is that when your kid comes home, your kid has a dad, and that dad tells them what's right and wrong. That kid has that option. But what about all these fatherless kids? Or the ones that have part-time Disneyland dads, or the ones that they barely see, or the ones that, well, they were just my dad because we were a test tube baby. And if conservatives don't turn this thinking around, which is just an alarming new trend in the conservative group, suddenly championing this, not even realizing that they're going down this path, if they don't turn this thinking around, we're going to pay the price for generations. I mean, it's one thing when the left does it. Oh, single motherhood's fine. You can have babies without dads. It's totally fine. Conservatives championing the nuclear family. Suddenly, when conservatives start abandoning the nuclear family because they want to be high on the hog over Trump and Musk and what they're doing, this is just, I mean, at the end of the day, just going along with something because your team is doing it. That's exactly how the left got into this mess. Liberals spent years trying to stick it to Trump and conservatives, and they did so at the expense of women, girls, and even basic science. So conservatives, you guys don't fall into that same trap. You need to be better than that. Conservatives need to stand up for principles, not just political teams. Family values matter. Fatherhood matters. In fact, I argue fatherhood is more important than moms. I know that's just not normal to say. Everybody says, no, the mom is more important. But I'll tell you what, we don't have a society filled with daddy issues with that moniker for no reason. Mothers are important. Children need nurturing. Children need love. But anecdotally, let me ask you, when you meet people, you talk to people, when you've dated people in the past, you could tell a difference, I'm sure of it, between somebody who had a father in their life and someone who didn't. Be they men or women, the women have daddy issues, right? We see what happens to women without their fathers around. Maybe they talk to their dad here and there, but we see how it ruins their self-esteem, their self-worth. They go after bad men. They make bad life choices. Not all the time, of course, there's always exceptions, but there's the cliche daddy's issues for a reason, because it's a real thing. And the men who don't have dads around, they don't know how to be manly. They try to overcompensate. They look for places where they can be tough, be manly. They have self-esteem issues. Fatherhood matters a lot for the health and welfare, the emotional well-being. And like I said, you can look to entire neighborhoods of what happens when so many kids don't have their dads. The Black community, they are suffering because 70% of those kids don't have their dads. And that is the number one reason why they're having the issues they're having. I would argue it is the lack of fathers. Now, there's a reason why there's a lack of fathers, and we're not going to get into that. The point is, dads not being around, or dads only being around part of the time, creates a society and a culture that is much, much worse, much more damaging, much more destructive than anything you think these woke liberals are going to do to you. We have to keep prioritizing a nuclear family. The bottom line is kids that have a nuclear family intact. Now, it doesn't mean their parents are always married. You can certainly do this in a divorce. I've seen it done. I have members of my own family who have navigated through divorce where their kids wouldn't even feel like they're divorced. They see their parents, both of them, every single day, even though their parents are divorced. They have contact with both of their parents every day. People are able to do it. I'm not saying you have to stay married no matter what. But we have to start prioritizing the nuclear family. We have to start prioritizing fathers. We have to start making the decision that fathers are important. We can't continue down this very destructive path where courts started to say things like mothers were more important, so mothers got the custody. Or, oh, we're going to just split the kids in half and they'll go half the time to mom and half the time to dad, as if that's not disruptive. You would never do that. You wouldn't go live back and forth between two houses every 2 weeks. So we have to prioritize the nuclear family. That is one thing that I've respected with conservatives, holding on to that value, understanding that it's important. The kids that succeed the most in life, the stats are clear, the data is clear. The kids who succeed have both of their parents in their lives. You take one of those parents away, particularly the dad, and the data becomes horrific. The data is horrific for these kids. So look, I get it. Elon Musk, he's rich. He can afford 1 million kids. Literally, he could afford 1 million children and probably be fine and still have all the money in the world. But that is not what a father is. Having a dad isn't somebody that just shows up part of the time, splits his time between you and his 5 other families, and also running 5 companies and running the government. That's all admirable that he's got all of this work. And I like Elon. I'm not an Elon hater. I'm not somebody I just don't like rich people. It's never been me. I like Elon. But I don't like this aspect of Elon. And we could say that's his personal life. Like, oh, this is just his personal, it doesn't matter. I'm not criticizing Doge. I'm not saying, oh, we shouldn't have Elon around and we shouldn't be doing Doge because this guy is an absentee Disneyland dad. That's not what I'm claiming. I'd love what he's doing. Keep doing it. I have no problem with Elon doing whatever he's doing. I have no problem with his companies. I have no problem with Doge. What I have a problem with is conservatives suddenly changing their tune on nuclear family, suddenly becoming incredibly hypocritical and saying, it's fine. These women were the problem. Elon's not a problem. He's a god. He can make all these babies. He's got all the money in the world, but it's the women. They're the problem because they're the gold diggers. Which is it, guys? Which is it? And what does it even matter? It doesn't matter. What matters is fatherhood. And if we keep making excuses for men like Musk just because he's a billionaire, we're going to wake up one day and realize we let the very foundation of civilization crumble right before our eyes. Thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iversen Show. If you want to watch the full show, visit KimIversonShow.com. The show airs every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, it's KimIversonShow.com. See you there.